All right, good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, wherever you may reside throughout the country. If I could just get a quick text from a member of my team to make sure that I'm coming across okay and that you can hear me, and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, I got the thumbs up. Okay, so great, guys. We've got 1 hour here. I want to make sure that this is very powerful and very useful for your time. We are definitely in unprecedented times right now in our world, not just here in Ohio and not just in the United States. So what we're going to talk about today are things that businesses need to do right now to ride through this storm. So I want you to be aware that, Action Coach has been around for over 26 years. So we have been through a couple of these storms. And so what we have learned is that there are key success factors that enable businesses to either thrive and grow through times like this, or factors that allowed them to not thrive and grow and actually go out of business. So what I'm going to share with you today are those key success factors that we have seen during times like that companies did to make sure that they not only survived, but they came out leaner, bigger, and stronger through times of crisis. Okay. Now, one thing that we're all going to pray for is that the internet stays with us, that my Zoom stays with us. And right now my slides are not advancing, so bear with me here. Sleeping a little bit. There is a lot of people working from home online. My slide is frozen, so hold on just a minute. There we go. Step one. Let's start practicing that right now. Okay. So step one, the most important lesson that everyone needs to learn is to, as a leader, as a business owner, we have a unique opportunity here, unlike employees and other workers. And this is where times where our employees, where our workers, where our community are looking to business owners to be the leaders. So here's what's most important. Be positive, be a leader, and the key success factor is that we not get overcome by the fear of this crisis, that we actually plan through it. So the things that we're going to be talking about are the key things that you need to do within the next 2 weeks to plan through this crisis. And then we're going to be doing a series of webinars coming up as to, okay, now what's next to get you through that. Those companies that take the time to plan through this crisis, having different scenarios, different options, are the ones that will not only survive this crisis, but will actually come out even stronger on the other side. So, and it's interesting, we chose to use a Chinese example here, but hey, there are 2 brush strokes in the word crisis. One brush strokes the hands for danger and the other for opportunity. So the point is anytime there's a crisis or an event that is happening that we can't control completely, we have to, as a leader, stay positive, stay focused, and look for what the opportunity could be that comes out of this. Panic and worry never helps. Look for small wins every hour. What could be good about this? I mean, you think of all the school children at home and you think of the family time that's being spent. That's probably going to be good for a while. It might go the other way. And, we put a funny in here because, by golly, we got to have some humor through all this. So, how can I sell toilet paper? Here's why we're saying that is this is a great time for you to really evaluate all the things in your business that, maybe we don't need to do it the same way that we've always done it. Maybe this will open up new avenues, new opportunities for you. So lead your people through the plan, through the crisis, and plan through to survival. So it's important that step number 2 is to know the cycles that a typical economy goes through. So even if we weren't going through this crisis right now, there are typical cycles that the economy goes through. Think of summer when things are booming, the sun is out, everything is fresh and ready to go. Think of fall when, things start to decline a little bit, starts getting a little cooler. Same thing in the economy, things start to slow down. Winter is when it's at its worst. That's when, people shut in and the weather is cold. And if you relate that to businesses, it might be a pretty drastic downturn or something particular to an industry. Spring is when it starts to spring back up. Now, typically these cycles happen every 7 to 10 years. Isn't that interesting? Because when was the last one, right? About 11 years ago. So the point is that economic cycles are going to happen. It's how drastic they happen. And obviously this one is happening fairly quickly, right? And it's how we plan through it as to determine how quickly we get out of it. Okay. So obviously this crisis has put us into what I call a V. Okay. So when you think of economic downturns, they typically think of a U, right? It starts to go into the fall, go into the winter slowly. It kind of rides at the bottom for a little bit and then slowly creeps back up. Then we have situations like we're going through right now, where instead of it being a U, where it's more flat on the bottom, it's more of a V. In other words, it has crashed quickly, it has crashed hard. We probably have not been at the bottom of the V yet, but once we do, and once we kind of get released from kind of everything that's going on here, the upswing should be very swift and very quick. And so as we go through these initial steps that you as a business leader need to go through, we also very, very quickly need to start talking about how do we prepare for the boom. I mean, you think of it just, in terms of restaurants, people not being able to go out. By the way, this, we're going to come through this hopefully here in the summer months. People are going to want to go out. They've got to be prepared for the boom. I was actually just speaking with my OBGYN. They are not only planning for slowdown right now, but they're already working on plans for the babies that are coming in 9 to 10 months because people are, stuck in their homes. So you too, as a business, need to understand that what you do now, you still have to keep in mind the boom that is going to resurge going forward. All right. Number 3, communicate. You cannot over communicate. Now, I want to temper this a little bit. I want you to be careful about what and how you communicate. As a matter of fact, Tuesday, we're doing another webinar on how to lead and communicate with your team through this crisis. So be careful not to get caught up in the negativity out there, not to get caught up in misinformation. We go directly to the government site, to the CDC, to our representative's office for us as coaches to be able to understand the most pertinent and relevant information. I'm not saying the news can't give relevant information, but just be careful right now because things are changing so rapidly. Make sure you're communicating with your team. Make sure you're communicating with those customers. Let them know what you're doing and how you're doing it. So if your business has completely shut down, let them know. Pick a date when you plan to reopen. Now, it's perfectly reasonable that date may shift and that date may get extended. But for right now, communicate to them the plan that this is our skeleton crew until such and such date, or we are completely shut down until such and such date. As those dates come closer, or as changes are made, or more information comes, or more restrictions come about, continue to communicate. With your team, you should be communicating daily, absolutely daily, even if it's just to check in, check the attitudes, reinforce positivity, answer any questions, especially as some of the relief funding is coming out. Make sure that you're staying on top of that and that you can answer any questions that your team may have. Second to your team should be your customers or your clients or your patients. What are you telling them? Make a statement send them a statement that, here's how we're handling, if you're still able to come into our place of business, here's how we're handling cleaning. If they cannot do business with you, here's a process of how you can do it differently or do it online. Communicate with them at least every couple of days, okay, for at least this next week or so. Your networks, your strategic partners, suppliers and stakeholders, and also your community. Let your community know. Business leaders have such an obligation and a willingness to want to help their community. So don't be shy about reaching out and saying, you know what? we can't maybe do as much work as a business right now, but what does our community need? Reach out to your schools, reach out to your churches, reach out to the shelters, and ask how you can help in that way, okay? The next most important thing is change. So, you know, whether you've been in business 2 years or you've been in business 50 years, you are going to have to change. There are some of our personalities that are less comfortable with change than others. Unfortunately, this is not the time to, I'll think about it, or I'll consider these options, or I'll evaluate these different strategies. You have got to take action now. You can't wait to see what happens. You can't see how bad it gets, or we have some that are just in denial that it's, you know, that it's actually as bad as it is. One of my clients the other day said, you know, I feel like my industry is not taking this seriously. There will be different phases that different industries will go through this. But the bottom line that everyone needs to be aware of is you've got to change. You've got to change how you're doing your business. And I will share some of those strategies and ideas with you as we go throughout this. Here's the thing, be ahead of it. So as we are coaching our clients through this change, we're kind of going through plan A, plan B, plan C. Plan A, we are focused on sales and marketing. Yep, that's right. We don't stop sales and marketing, but we may have to do it in a different way. Plan B is cost cutting, and plan C is where to get help for relief and for funding, okay? So we have all three plans in place for our clients, and I encourage you to do the same. Think of best case scenario, likely scenario, and worst case. Know right now or within the next couple of days exactly what you're going to do depending on which direction it goes. Get ahead of it. But I also want you to challenge yourself to lead the change. Don't wait and see what your competitors are doing. Ask your coaches, ask your mentors, ask your strategic partners, ask your staff. I mean, honestly, the team and the employees really typically have the best ideas of how to do things differently. Okay, you may have to change your products. You may have to change how you deliver. You know, the restaurants right now, not all of them did carry out before, but let me tell you, they're doing carry out right now. They're figuring it out. Our local restaurant here close to where we live, they've never done carry out ever. And so they were searching for help to help find carry out containers. So they were positioned to be able to do it, you know, physically with the cooking, but didn't have the containers to be able to provide the carry out. So you've got to be able to change. Here's the opportunity for you to really look at all the things that the business may have done in the past that you've wanted to try different things. Now's the time to do it. We say, even look at the whole business. We even say, break it. If the business is broken, how would you rebuild it? Take that white sheet of paper. And if you were to start your business over again, knowing all that you know and all your experiences of being in business, how would you do it differently? This is a great time to do that. Market and sell. So I mentioned to you that we do not stop selling and marketing. Now, isn't that interesting? The most important thing that you need to focus on is letting people know you're there. And if you're closed down, that you will be there, or different products and services that you can offer. So here's where I want you to think about how you can communicate and market to let the community know, to let the customers know, to let the patients know that you're still there and what you're doing. Maybe it's that your team is working on developing new skills and you do some social media posting about that. Maybe it's about marketing. So for example, for us, this webinar is not about selling, but there are some people that need some help and want some coaching help. So that doesn't really fit with our normal coaching program. So we've created a short one, a 2-hour coaching, program for people that want help now. I can tell you that was never part of our product offering before. Will it be in the future? I don't know. We'll see. That may change our business model going forward. If you've never offered your product online, now's the time to do it. We have a client that does search engine optimization and web design, okay? Well, people may not be wanting a big whole web redesign right now, but might they need a new page to offer online products and services that they've never done before, right? So think of things that are different in your business model. I also want you to think about your products that you offer. So for example, we have a staffing firm client, and I think she might even be on here as well listening, that does staffing purely for the legal profession. Now, depending on which way hiring and things like that go for the legal profession, it obviously will likely slow down. But her skill sets of how they find candidates and place candidates, think of where there are industries right now that are booming, that need rapid hiring, like grocery stores, like trucking companies, like Amazon. There are places that cannot get enough people right now. So think of how you can take your current products or skill set and maybe help a market that you've never helped before. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to stay in that market forever, but I want you to approach your market by looking at it as, how can we help? If you always come from a place in your heart of how can we help, it will open up new doors for you to help people, but also potentially build your pipeline for the future. This is also the opportunity for you to renegotiate rates. So if you have advertising, on the TV, on the radio, and it's not the right advertising for this right time, give them a call, renegotiate rates. They'd rather have some income coming in than none at all, right? Create new offers. Measure your 5 ways. For those of you that are Action Coach clients, you know what that is. That is how our tool that we use to help our clients build their pipeline and build their marketing lead generation funnel. Where you can right now, whereas you didn't maybe do this before, get cash up front. So when you do market this new product and sale, you need to get the payment up front, okay? We talked a little bit about online or deliveries. Some of, I know we have a lot of bridal stores on here. The wedding venues here in Ohio, and I know we have different states here on this webinar, but those have all been shut down. So they can't even have their weddings if they wanted to. But, could you do curbside pickup so they could at least have their gown in their hand for when they're ready to go? So it's not just delivery. We have a client that does both large event catering as well as has a cafe that has indoor seating. Now, the indoor seating has been shut down as well as all the event catering. So one of the strategies that we talked about is, think of this from a place of help. Who needs help? Well, people need fed. That's one thing that will never, ever change. So one of the first rounds of things that she did was to reach out to the schools and say, how can we help deliver meals to the kids who, rely on those meals? How can we help support you? That was the first round. She did that 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago. Time is actually in a time warp right now. The other thing is how the next wave was, obviously switching from the restaurant seating to the carryout. So emphasizing that. But the other strategy that we talked about is she has a delivery van. So go out into a neighborhood, put it on social media. We will be there between 4 to 6 with prepared meals, kind of almost like a food truck. Go out there, of course, get proper licensing, right? Whatever is required, but go out there and have meals where people can just walk out of their homes, walk out to that truck, grab a meal, and go back in their homes. So always position yourself from a position of help. Who needs help with what you do, okay? Repeat business. So the most important thing that you need to focus on from your marketing and sales is repeat business. So protect your existing customers. Your existing customers are your best customers. Create some deals just for them. For example, if you're, again, I'm mentioning the bridal stores because I know we have a lot of them online here. If it's getting them to go ahead and come in and pay off and finish and pick up their attire, give them some incentive to go ahead and come on in and get that done. Allow some bulk buys, sell gift cards where you can. Just be prepared. So marketing is all about the sell, and it's about the distribution. Just make sure that you have the capacity to deliver on those gift cards that you just sold. So gift cards is a great way. Restaurants are really promoting that now, to where people can go ahead and purchase to help you with cash flow now, to help you ride through on something that you can then deliver later. Keep those customers at all costs. Even for our own business as business coaches, this past week has been, our priority has been our current clients. These are paying clients. We're going to make sure they're taken care of, and we're going to make sure that their coaches on demand. And that's what we've been. We've been on demand, and we've been triaging with the first industries hit the hardest, such as restaurants and things like that. So prioritize on your existing customers. But second to that is build your pipeline through the act of giving, okay? Next, so we talked a lot about staying positive. We talked a lot about marketing and selling never, ever, ever stops. Use that marketing and selling from a point of giving so that you build your pipeline and your community bank account, basically, that let your community know that you're there. These are the things that you also need to be doing. So these are kind of the ouchy things that have to happen, unfortunately. In times of uncertainty and crisis, cash is king. Now, we don't want you to all go to the bank and withdraw all your cash, okay? But here's the point. Stop spending where you can. Now, you may chuckle a little bit. No, that does not mean stop spending on your coach. So think about the things that are going to help you the most move through this window, or this V that we're looking at, that we've got to get through, and what are the things that don't need to happen right now. So if you were going to implement a new computer system, that's something that could be held off right now. If you were going to, do some training for your team, maybe you can delay that a little bit. This is where, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but even like postponing bonuses is the most appropriate thing to do right now in order to protect the employees' pay. Do protect the support system that you will need to get through this, such as your accountant, your banker, your business attorney, your mentor, your coaches, your advisors, your board of directors. All those people are likely paid type support system, maybe other than the banker. This is not the time to cut back on that, because you are going to need them now. You're going to need them when it gets, and if it gets worse, and you're going to need them in the boom that's going to come back, of how to prepare that, how to leverage and get your staff and your team ramped back up, okay? So renegotiate where you can, slow things down, or postpone. But see what I put there at the end? No matter what, keep marketing and selling. Do not stop. One of our clients is in the building industry, building supply industry. She asked a very good question, because she's been on she's had a marketing strategy to build her builder database and partnerships, because that's who's going to buy the materials from her. And the question was, well, should I just stop calling them? Absolutely not. First of all, a couple of things. That industry is mostly outside, so they're still working. But she should never stop doing the things that build relationships in your marketing, so that when it is time to pull the trigger and things start happening again, they remember this, okay? All right, step 9, extend credit where possible. Okay, so the rules are still coming out with the SBA lending and things like that. We're going to actually talk about that at the end, where to get financial help and how to do that. The bottom line is get lending now. Now, what we don't want to happen, the worst case scenario is that the banks stop lending. So if you have credit lines, credit cards, lines of credit, business loans, your personal as well, refinance it now. The rates are never, I mean, hopefully, knock on wood, will never be lower, right? The federal rate is 0 to 0.25%. It legally cannot go below 0%. I mean, our goal is that we never see them that low again, right? Because that would mean another crisis. So whether you have real estate, your mortgage, your line of credits, all these things, you need to make a phone call to that banker and you need, or mortgage lender, whomever it is, and you need to ask for a reduced rate. Even if you think you're okay or you might be okay, it's first come, first serve. So you've got to get in line now. Okay. I also encourage you as business owners to do so as well for your personal. If you have a personal line of credit, personal credit cards and things like that, because there may be a time, if it hasn't already, that we as business owners may need to reduce our pay in order to keep our top employees paid. We know that hurts all of us, but it as much as we can manage our personal finances during this time, it enables us to keep our business thriving for when it's time for it to come back. Unfortunately, there may be time, and some of my clients have already done this, staffing cuts and changes, okay? So let's kind of put these in order of what, there are some businesses and industries where they've had no choice, like restaurants, okay, things like that. Now, spas and tattoo parlors and things like that who have been forcibly shut down. However, if you are still in business, here's kind of the order in which you should do it. Take vacations when possible. So allow them to use their PTO if they would like to. You don't need to force them to use their paid time off or their vacations, but they certainly can as an option. You can make staff changes all at one time or by attrition. Here's the thing. Be honest. This goes back to step 2, which was communicate. Be honest with your employees. I share with my team, and you don't have to do this. Everybody has to make their own personal choice, but I literally share with them the P&L balance sheet. I'm like, here's where we're at. Here's how long we can go. And here's what you can do as a team to make sure that we come out of this strong. So whether you decide to do it in waves or one at a time or hourly versus salary, however you decide to do it, just be upfront and honest, okay, that here's how we're going to do it. Sometimes you just have to do it. Another option is pay cuts. Yes. Now, we have people from all over the country on this webinar, so it's important for you to learn your state laws. Every state is different, okay? So please, everything that I say here, make sure you confirm with your particular state, okay? But how you do pay cuts, salary versus hourly, we have one client that converted last Monday, everybody to hourly, even the salary, just effective immediately, everybody is hourly. That way, when and if they have to do cut of time, they can take away, cut off 4 hours of everybody's time rather than, how to handle that, this person or that person. I mentioned before suspending bonus programs. There is no reason right now, and people need to understand that if they were expecting a bonus during this quarter, that they are delayed. It is even okay, again, confirm with your state law that they're gone. I recommend at first and foremost, delay them. I wouldn't put a date on it, just say delayed indefinitely. But we know, guys, we're all business owners here and we all try to do the right thing for our people. We know that you're going to try to pay those things just as quickly as possible. Just be careful of, don't commit to a second date that you can't own up to, okay? Obviously plan work from home. So this is, even since we put this webinar together, there's been many, many changes. Even our city of Columbus here in Ohio, even the city workers are being asked to work from home. Here's the most important part. What technology do you need if you are not already starting to do that? What kind of meetings will you have with your team? My team, we are meeting 2 to 3 times a day. We pay we pay a little bit more because of the webinars that we're doing, but we pay for Zoom at $16 a month. There's also Skype. There's all kinds of a GoToMeeting, webinar, things like that you can literally just send a text to your team and say, let's hop on. Maybe you have set times every day that you meet. How will you keep up customer service? This might be a good time to test out telework. We have some companies on here that do telemedicine that are listening to this webinar right now. So how do you, maybe this is a good time to test and measure how you answer those calls from home. How do you handle banking? How do you handle mail? Right now, post offices are still working, but how do you handle that? You need to be prepared for weeks, but you also need to be prepared for a couple of months. Now, I said there were 11 steps, but we're actually going to go to a 12th one. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, the lessons that I want you to remember, because I want to make sure that we have time for you to ask questions here at the end. So in the chat box there's a Q&A section. So if you have specific questions for your business, go ahead and start putting those in while I go over these last few slides here. So step number 12, common sense and compassion. Guys, no matter what, as you know, sometimes us business owners get a bad rap, but we've worked with hundreds of business owners and we know that we all come from a good place in our heart. Always put people first, communicate from a position of helping, over deliver on customer service. Again, be there first and foremost for your current clients or customers or patients. Obviously, clean and don't touch, provide sanitizer, be nice, take a chill pill. Do not remember, you are the leaders, not only of your business, but of your employees and of your community. People are looking to business owners right now to see how we behave, how we act. Of course, don't buy too much toilet paper, be responsible. And most importantly, I added this at the end. This is the time for self-care. This is the time where take the time, if you meant to be exercising every day, but your business has been so overwhelmed that you couldn't do it, it's time to do it. Take 30 minutes a day and take a walk outside, be outside, take a time to meditate, whatever it is, take care of yourself because you're going to need to be strong, healthy, and mentally as you go through this process, okay? And most importantly, you're going to need to be strong and healthy as this comes back as a boom, because it's going to, okay? Now, all else fails or even not sure, just want to be prepared, how to get financial help. So again, this first step here is particular for the state of Ohio. Okay, so make sure that you understand where to find the help in your state. So first and foremost, we had a great conversation on Monday with our U.S. Representative Steve Stivers. They have been extremely responsive. Can't say enough about that. So I think that's important to mention when it comes time for their reelection. They know that we help businesses and they want to help us help businesses. So one of the first things that they did is, if you believe that you may need help with funding, with relief for your business, I want you to, as soon as you are off this webinar, whether you decide to take action on that or not, I want you to email your contact information to this email address, businesshelp@development.ohio.gov. Again, each state should have one of those. The reason you are providing your contact information, remember that this relief funding is coming first come, first serve. This gets you in line. This also gets you direct contact from those agencies that are there to support you, so they can keep you up to date on when the things are available for you to do. Okay, so it's just, here's my business name, here's the contact name, here's the phone number, the email. That's all you need to do. Okay, step number 2, the disaster loan, disasterloan.sba.gov. This is US, so no matter what state you are calling from, you can participate in this. Okay, this is where you fill out for SBA lending and relief packages that are becoming available. They are not available in every state right now. They're not available in every county. Basically, how this process works, just so everybody understands, it is moving quicker than it normally ever would, but it's still not super quick. Okay, so once the CDC announced that there was the pandemic, then the very next step was the president announcing that we were under a national emergency. That is actually critical to that first $50 billion that was set aside to help with relief. Once that happened, then that allows the states to make their claim to the federal government for their portion of the relief package. It's another reason we want you to send that email up above so they can get some idea of who might be applying for it. Okay, and so as of Monday, Ohio submitted their package. And then our understanding from the Congress is that it takes 2 to 3 days for Ohio to be uploaded into this disasterloan.sba.gov. We have been checking it daily. I do know that some counties are on there, but not all of them. What you can do right away, folks, right away, you do not have to wait for the Ohio coronavirus, upload to be there. You can go ahead and start processing the forms. They're not easy, guys. You're going to need all your financial data. You're going to have to project what loss you're going to have. You need to say how the business has been doing since then. So these things take time. Go ahead and start filling out the forms. That way, once it's loaded onto the government site that you can now apply, you're just uploading, hitting apply, and you're in the queue. Okay, so go ahead and start filling out those forms. So here's the other thing. It is a misconception right now that the tax deadline was extended. I know that they're still working on that, and frankly, maybe even from the time we started this webinar, it may have changed. That's how quickly things have changed. The only thing that has changed is a delay in payment of the taxes. The tax forms and filings are, as of right before this webinar, was still April 15th. The reason this is important is a couple of things. Your CPAs and accounting firms, trust me, I'm married to one, are under tremendous stress as they normally would be at this time. But now they have businesses, their business clients that are saying, I need help filling out these disaster relief funds. Unfortunately, they're going to have to prioritize on the tax deadline. So if you have a chance to talk to your congressman about extending that, we need help, because they've got to prioritize on getting the taxes done and then try to work in helping clients with these relief funds, documentation and things like that. So just be aware of that. If your accountant is not reacting right away, it's because they still have a tax deadline they have to meet, and it's coming up. Also want you to be aware that on this Friday, this just came up. By the way, we're going to send this link in a follow-up email to everybody who registered for this webinar. This Friday, March 20th, Mike Golick, an SBA lender from Huntington Bank, largest SBA lender in the nation, will be giving up-to-minute details on how the emergency lending works. I know we will be on that Zoom link. And I encourage you all to do the same so that you understand the guidelines for how it works, okay? Unemployment. So this is where, again, this is the Ohio, unemployment.ohio.gov. There will be some flexibility for Ohioans to receive unemployment during this. And as a matter of fact, right before this call started, I guess the Senate passed the bill, at least the first bill last night. So there is the financial relief package for employees. I didn't want to talk about it today until I had time to research it and understand it. But basically, you complete a mass layoff form to expedite the process if you have gone through a mass layoff. And we know that some of our clients have done that. And here's where you can get more frequently asked questions answered with regard to unemployment, okay? Great. Here are 6 ways to get help, and then I will open it up to question and answer. Hey, first of all, we are business coaches, and the way that I kind of look at this is, you know, as I explain to other people, there are doctors and nurses to make sure that they keep people healthy. Coaches are here to keep businesses healthy, and that is our priority. Our number 1 priority is our team. Our number 2 is our current clients, and number 3 is our extended community of businesses. Truly, we are here to save as many businesses as we can, okay? So first of all, there are 4 ways here to get help for free from coaches. And by the way, all of the action coaches across the United States are pretty much doing this. We're not the only ones. So first of all, since you have registered for this webinar, we will have shorter, probably more like half-hour topical webinars weekly on what's going on and what you need to do. And especially as we evolve through this curve here of your business. So we may actually have, you know, a cash flow topic because that's going to become an issue rather quickly. Probably in, you know, a few more weeks, we'll have okay, how to be prepared to bring your staff back on. So they're going to be very timely and topical. Take advantage of those, folks. That's what they're there for. You can call our hotline. Now we are working remotely, so you will get a voicemail, but we are checking that voicemail every hour on the hour. So leave us your detailed, your business name, your contact phone number, and if you have a specific question, we're going to be here to answer it. We don't want to leave any business owner hanging, like, what should I do? Okay. You can also message us on social media. Now, obviously, I don't have the social media right here on this webinar. We're going to be sending you a follow-up email with this recording as soon as we're done, and it will have the links to our social media. Ask us questions. It's for free. We want to give as much free help as we can. We want businesses to thrive and survive. You can also send a direct email to one of our coaches. So Coach Brittany Douglas, you'll see her picture here in a minute. She is one of our certified coaches on our team. If you just want to message her that way and say, this is who I am, this is the question I have. It might be something like, how do I tell my team I have to lay them off? What do I tell my customers? What would be a good message to give them? I'm looking for alternative marketing. What should I do? Guys, we can answer those pretty quickly and keep you moving. So that you're not worrying about things that can be easily answered. Now, those are the 4 ways to get help for free right away. Number 5, if you decide, you know what, I need dedicated help, I need an action plan. So this is, by the way, I mentioned this earlier, this is not a service that we typically offer, but it's something that we're offering typically when we meet with somebody for a couple hours, work on a plan, it's over $1,500. I wish I could give it away for free, but we're doing it at a significantly reduced price to have a 2-hour planning session to come out with your 90-day survival plan with a certified coach. Basically, what you're going to walk out of there with is, here's what I got to do over the next 90 days to get through this. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. This is not our push. but we've been asked for it. How can I get coaching help? That's it. Lastly, additional programs that we have in place. You can go to our website for additional ongoing coaching. But here's my thing. Take advantage of the 4 ways to get free help right now. Don't wait. Don't feel that there's a bait and switch. There's none of that. We come up from a place of giving. We want to help. Our biggest victory out of this is that all of our clients are protected, survive, and thrive, and that we save as many other business owners as we can. That's what motivates us. Our mission statement, our purpose is to make a difference one business at a time, and that's what we're going to stick to. So I'm going to open it up to question and answers. I want to, as I pull that up, this is my team. You'll see Coach Brittany on the right, so that's who you'd be talking to on email. That's me in the middle. And then we have Blair McLean, who is our Director of Marketing. And so take advantage of these experts and their resources. We're here to help. Okay, so great. So here's some great questions. So as a chamber, we are trying to keep our members informed with access to funding, guidance for their staff to collect unemployment, but we also have dues that we need to collect for membership. How should we approach members that are past due, and how should we invoice for the next month's renewals? We are trying to show our relevancy by communicating the right information, but we also hate to ask for money during the same time. First of all, so if you are owed money, you are owed money. I would go collect that money. Now, at the same time, I would be compassionate. We always have to come from a place in our heart. So I would work with those members that are past due. Maybe they can pay partial right now. Maybe you can agree on a delayed payment, but they must commit to the delayed payment. Okay. The memberships, you need to continue to do business as usual. You need to continue to put your invoices out there. So do not assume that they cannot pay for it. Handle it on a case-by-case basis, okay? So if they call in and they say they can't do it, work with them on it, okay? Now, relevancies. Chambers right now should be all over this. So you should be doing some of the things that my team is doing. So Monday morning, we didn't have the answers. We called the congressman's office, and by golly, they answered the phone, which I couldn't believe. So you should be reaching out, and you should be having contact with our congressman daily. You should be having contact with the governor's office daily. You should be having contact with the SBDC daily. You should be having contact with key bankers daily to get the most relevant information, and you should be having contact with and be watching key sites like the CDC, like the unemployment, like the disaster relief, the SBA. So the facts that are known today are out there. Since your team may not be able to do normal chamber functions, get them focused on gathering information and keeping your website updated, keeping it posted on social media. That is truly the value that you have right now, is transferring information, sharing with them how they can get free business coaching help, whether it's from us or somebody else. It doesn't matter. Get them to resources. Your own chamber team needs to shift what they're doing to be a conduit of information and accurate information, and it should be updated daily, if not twice a day, okay? 3 times a day, because things are changing daily, okay? How often should you post on social media? So often. First of all, everybody's at home. What a great time to be in front of them. So particularly if you are marketing, talking about the things that your business is doing, things that you're doing out in the community, things that you're doing to protect your team. It depends on the type of social media platform. So for example, Facebook, you can get away with posting 5 to 7 times a day. LinkedIn, it's more like 1 to 2. Instagram might be 2 to 3. So be aware of the type of platform that you're on and what you are posting to determine kind of the appropriateness of the frequency and how much you post. Okay, next question. How do I decide which team members to cut first? Interesting. So this is a great question, and I will say in good coaching terms, it depends. So the first thing you've got to do is you've got to have a plan. You have to not just say, oh, I'm not sure I'll have cash flow, I'm just going to start cutting people. You have to have a plan. So if you are shifting your business model to offer a different type of product or service or offer it in a different way, so for example, restaurants that never did carry out before are now doing carry out. Well, now the waitresses are not waitressing, they're out there delivering or, you know, on the curbside or whatever. So that's why you've got to have a plan for the next week, for the next month, for the next 90 days. So you've got to have a plan. The plan will tell you what resources you need and the shifting. I would leverage the current team that you have as much as possible. So even if you had salary workers that were in the office behind a desk, they may now be out on the front line, whereas they never have before. If you have a good team and they're a good culture fit, you need to try to protect them. Okay, assuming that you are able to keep them employed and it's not a cash flow issue, it becomes a cash flow issue. One of the first things that we recommend is to really take a look at your team and identify who your A players are. Always protect your A players no matter what. Now that doesn't mean salary versus hourly. Some of your hourly, it doesn't mean how they're paid as to whether or not they're A's. It's who has been most passionate about our business, who has always gone the extra step, not work extra hours, who will be there for us when we come back in this boom, who will make this happen, who is rallying the team, who is staying positive, who will just be willing to roll up their sleeves. Protect them first, okay? The other thing that we talked about was you can just do an across the board cut of hours. Next question, how do I manage cash flow? So one of the things that we do with our clients, if you've never done it before, it's fairly easy. I encourage you to do it. And if you email Coach Brittany, we can send you a template. It's much different than a budget. It's much different than your financial statements. And that is a cash flow, a weekly cash flow. And basically what it looks like is, again, based on your plan, based on the marketing and selling that you're going to do through this, what cash do you plan to have at the top? It's here's each week the cash that we know is coming in or that is planned to coming in. And then at the bottom is total cash outflows. So what is the cash, like rent, utilities, payroll, things like that that are due every, in the week that they're due. And then at the bottom of that is the net. So what is the net cash flow? That will clearly show you where you're going to run into trouble so that you can start planning, moving, renegotiating, and know when to make some changes before changes, more drastic changes have to been made. Okay. All right. Any last questions? Okay, what's going to happen from here is that you will receive a follow-up email with this recording. You will also receive a link to our next webinar, which is on how to lead and communicate with your team through this change. These will likely be a little bit shorter webinars through that time. I encourage you to sign up for that. It also gives you links on our social media to be able to ask us questions. Again, take advantage of the free help. We're here to help. Thank you for your time today. Everyone stay safe. Everyone stay healthy. And we'll see you on the upside.